Hello, welcome to Minorips. I'm Fish.
And I'm Ben. Authenticity might be one of the most overrated things in our culture today.
Wow.
We're going to talk about if authenticity is even a coherent term, if there even such a thing as an authentic self. What is your real, true self? Now, we're going to dig a lot into the idea of wearing masks, social masks, as people tend to call them, or being fake, as it is more maliciously referred to. But the whole idea of that could be basically just made up and not actually real, as to the masks that we wear being a fake version of ourselves. It could just be the case that we're dynamic individuals and we adapt and we change depending on our situation. You know, some people basically live their lives through a mask. They are always putting on a show, basically, for the people around them. So much so that they don't even know what their authentic self even is, because they don't know what it means to act as their true self, if that's even a thing.
Well, okay. Well, let me ask you this then. Where is the line between adapting to a situation and actually just lying?
That's a good question. Well, we can say, I think saying the word lying might be a bit of an overreach, because lying is pretty binary. If you're lying, you're not. There's something you're doing that is counter to what is the reality.
So, like, as an example, if I'm around my family and I pretend, let's say, that I'm still religious, is that just lying?
That would never happen.
Is that just lying, or is that a mask?
Well,
Because it would be false.
if you pretend that you're still religious, I think that's just straight up lying. Yeah.
Okay.
Effectively. I don't think it's... See, here's the thing. Wearing a mask is adapting your behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Pretending you're Christian when you're not is portraying you have a view when you don't. Those are two different things. One of them lying. One of them is lying. One of them is just adapting, I would say.
So, a non-lying version of this would be, I am religious, but I don't really talk about it with other friends, but then I go around my family and that's something I talk about. I shift my personality.
You're saying if you were actually religious.
Yeah, so it's just something that is more, it appears more active in my lifestyle.
Depending on who you're around.
Who I'm around.
Yeah, I would say yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. But here's the thing. Because you act differently around your parents, does that mean you're being fake or wearing a mask around your parents or
Well,
your
the
family?
question is, who's being fake around, right? Is it the parents or is it everybody else? What's your real face?
That's a good question. Is when you're not around your parents the fake version of yourself? Mm-hmm. Are you actually your authentic self when you're around people that you're comfortable with?
Right.
Why bias? So, like, a lot of people say your authentic self is who you are when no one's around. But why? Why are we biasing that state of affairs over when you're in your zone?
I feel
around, like friends.
I feel like whenever nobody's around, that's just like the most... What's the word I'm looking for?
It's the most unstimulated.
Yeah, it's like it's the most... Mellow is not the right word, but that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, you're not going to see extremes necessarily when you're on your own. It takes another personality to really draw that out of you. Often.
I would say, yeah, in good and bad ways. Mm-hmm. If you're in an argument, you might be the most authentic you've ever been, and it could be a terrible version of yourself.
Right. And also, another example of that is if I'm at home by myself deliberating on something, I might be a rational person, but you get me in a discussion with somebody and maybe I can't make a decision as well. I become a little more irrational or something like that. It's not an IRL example, just an example altogether.
Yeah.
But, to say that the influences you are around influence your very nature, right? Your ability to do things, your priorities, things like that.
So, well, let's try to figure out what being authentic actually is. Because when we see somebody online, like talking in a video, there does seem to be a difference between when someone is an authentic, true person versus when somebody is like a shill fake.
Yeah.
That doesn't just seem like their different parts of themselves are being brought out because of them being in a different situation.
Right.
But is that when we talk about an authentic person versus an inauthentic person, are we just saying that the inauthentic person is basically just deceiving and lying?
Well, to your example with a content creator or something, I feel like that's showmanship. It's not lying, it's showmanship.
On which end?
On the
authentic end or the inauthentic end?
I guess the inauthentic. Because
So you think surely you don't think showmanship is inauthentic.
no, that's what I'm saying. I think if we're trying to discuss, are these people being themselves? The answer is no, I guess.
But what does that mean?
I don't know. I'm saying conventionally, people would say that they aren't being themselves, and even I've heard a lot of content creators say like things to the sense of like, what I do on camera is an act, right? But that's all it is an act. But I don't know if I'd call it.
What does that mean? Does that just mean?
I mean, it means they're playing up certain characteristics, or even injecting characteristics into their personality for show.
Now that, I think, adding characteristics that aren't previously there, that I think is a form of deception.
Maybe, but that doesn't have to be bad.
No. There can be a good deception.
But you wouldn't say an actor is deceiving the audience.
I would say they absolutely are trying to do the best that they can at that. You don't want the audience to feel like their actor is acting. They are looking for the deception. That's the entire point of a movie.
Would deception be correct there? Or would it be something else? Just simply the act of convincing one or many recipients of untrue information, which I suppose if the information being provided is that this person believes a certain thing, then I guess that would be untrue, I suppose.
I think actors are... I guess I just don't see why deception has to be a negative word.
Well, it doesn't. It just... My I guess question was as it relates to something kind of obviously put on. But
so then how do we but there's obviously a difference between an actor acting and what they actually are. Mm-hmm. As themselves. Let's just say they are trying to put on showmanship. That's acting. Where does that deviate? In what way does that deviate from what their authentic self would be? And can we call something like that fake?
Does it more have to do with the illusion of authenticity? right?
As in, like, their authenticity could just be another.
Well, I mean, so like an actor,
mask.
right? An actor is doing what they're doing not to convince the audience that they themselves believe what they are portraying, but that the character is believable.
Yeah.
So I don't. Maybe I'm going back to this whole deception thing, but I feel like what I mean, deception versus lying. That's about the same thing, right?
I don't think they have to be.
You don't have to be. What would be the distinction between the two?
Deception. I don't think deception necessarily has to be the saying something that is, saying or doing or portraying something that is straight up untrue, like lying would be. Something that is counter to the truth. Deception can be like a salesman. Salesmen are master deceivers, but you don't catch them like just overtly lying. They just put things in a light that is different and can lead you astray. But it's not lying per se.
So I just looked it up here, and this is kind of a good. So lying is making a false statement with the intent to deceive, and deception is a more broad term, an action or omission designed to create a false impression.
Yeah, so almost the same thing, except lying is strictly counter to what is true.
Yeah.
Deception doesn't necessarily have to be that.
Yeah. Interesting.
And I think that's what acting
So acting is deception.
Yeah.
The art of deception.
Because I don't think there's anything untrue happening. Unless you're trying to, unless the actor is displaying a personality trait that they themselves would never do, which happens constantly.
Right. This is when.
So is it lying?
Well, I don't think so, because they're not making a claim on their own beliefs. They're representing the beliefs of a fictional
a character. That's true. They're representing. Okay, so there is no intent. There is intent to deceive, because that's the entire point.
Yeah.
But they're not making the claim that they are somebody else. They are just simply trying to represent a different person.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I would say acting is the intent to deceive, but it's not lying. But how'd we get here? Is there an authentic self? Is there a true you? So even if we were to say what you really are is you when nobody's around, which I think that's nonsense, but that's a common thing to say.
Yeah.
I would say that's a common opinion. Let's just say that you are different if you're hungry or not, or angry or not.
I was just hungry a second ago before we started recording.
And your whole mind can change.
Yeah.
Just from like different physiological changes.
I went from unmotivated to motivated.
Because you had a protein bar.
Yeah.
It can change everything.
I mean, it really can. It really can. That happens constantly for me. It's just and how many, this kind of gets back to the self also, but.
By the way, when we say the self, we have oftentimes on this channel referred to the self as the metaphysical self, the unchanging through time, the same you that was born, the soul, sort of analogous. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the psychological personality self today. We're not talking about the metaphysical self pretty much at all. But continue.
But how often do you hear of people thinking that they are just a certain way? They are the way they are. They are, I can't think of a certain quality, but whatever it is, come to find out that they had some sort of vitamin deficiency.
Well, let's reductio this. we find somebody that is like a serial killer, and we come to find that it's a brain structure, it's some sort of brain structure problem that we can fix with a pill.
Yeah.
Like these traits, we can solve, like immorality. We could solve these problems in the far future. Are we saying that we're changing their authentic self? Is it somebody's authentic self to be a psychopath? If we could cure psychopathy with a pill.
Well, here's the thing. If we say that we are not taking away from their authenticity, what we are then asserting is that there is something that is just baseline. If something can be changed from one state to another, and the previous state was not just the authentic state, then that means the baseline is something other than that of the previous state. Right?
Assuming there is a baseline.
I'm saying it asserts it.
How?
Because if you...
Baseline being... Define baseline.
The proper self.
The authentic self.
The authentic self,
Okay.
yeah.
A sort of true personality. Okay.
If what is authentic is not what is present, and to take away from what is present is to revert or return to something authentic, then we are asserting some sort of authentic baseline self. If you can shift from one state to another, you are then moving into a state of authenticity.
Why? Why does it have to assert that there is a state of authenticity instead of just changing their personality?
Because what we're saying, I would think, is that we're saying that psychopathy is not their true self, and to be not a psychopath is to be more of their true self.
Oh, I don't think that needs to be asserted whatsoever. I think it can, but that was basically the question I was asking.
So, okay, so you're saying...
If someone's a psychopath and we gave them a pill to not be a psychopath, we could just do that. We don't have to say that. I don't think doing that asserts that there is a baseline.
Well, then the question still stands then. If there is going to be an authentic self, a true self, which one is the true self?
That's the question. I don't really know.
That's what I'm trying to get at, because if we're I mean, I guess we could just do that. We could just give somebody a pill for the betterment of society.
Yeah.
But what are we doing to their identity?
Well, we're changing their identity, but if their identity, when you say identity, do you mean authentic self? Or do you just mean who they happen to currently be?
I mean who they are in relation to their true self.
So their identity being whatever they happen to currently be.
Right, I suppose.
Well, what we'd be doing to their identity is just giving them the ability to feel empathy, I guess. Which that could be a profound change in personality.
Right.
But if they were born as psychopaths, like, most people know. Here's the thing. Most people know that these neurological disorders are just that. Disorders. They are not ordered or orderly or what we would deem as standard. The standard order.
Yeah.
They're disorders. So I think most people, under the assumption of the existence of an authentic self, would say that giving the psychopath this pill would bring them closer to their true self.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was getting at a second ago.
Because neurological disorders are disorders. They are not the standard order. But we could say that about any personality trait.
That's true.
Because it's all structures of the brain. Not just psychopathy. And that I think really muddies things.
Yeah.
So if we were to say, like, I mean, for criminy's sake, if everyone was psychopaths and somebody had a mutation that gave them empathy, they would be the disordered ones.
Right.
And we would say the opposite is true. Give them a pill to make them a psychopath. They're back to their authentic self. So under this sort of brain structure personality view, I think the idea of an authentic self just can't be real.
Kind of too many things going on influencing.
Yeah,
what is your personality?
we are whatever we are just simply is a product of our freaking hormones and how hungry we are and the environment that we're currently in. That's our self. I don't think there is a authentic self. Which brings us right back to the question, but surely there is something, there is a difference between just simply adapting how you act in your environment and being fake or wearing a mask. There's got to be a difference between those things.
Well, I think it's almost more the question of, okay, we are an amalgamation of our brains and our hormones and whatever, what have you. But given the fact that we shift based on social situations, which one of those states closely reflects our actual feelings?
As in, like, what we're most comfortable being in?
What we're most comfortable. Yeah, what comes easiest?
I think that could be... I mean, that's a pretty tricky question, too, because some people find multiple states easy. Some people could find only one state, like hard. And also, the states that you find yourself to be comfortable in can be changed within yourself if you just do it more often.
Yeah.
So, for example, the hermit, super introverted, never touched grass, hasn't seen daylight in a decade, probably is pretty comfortable where he's at and uncomfortable almost anywhere else.
Yeah.
But it seems almost insulting to say that that's his authentic self because that's where he's most comfortable. Should he just get out and go to a freaking restaurant and look at people, he's going to be super uncomfortable until the 50th time he does it, and now he's extremely comfortable doing it. And actually better for it. So I don't know if your comfort level in a given situation can be reflective of your authentic self.
Well, that almost comes down to the psychopath example, honestly, because the hermit is a social disorder, you could say.
You could, sure, yeah.
But does that line of thinking apply across all people? Could somebody without, well, then we'd have to define what a disorder is, really. But somebody without disorder,
somebody free of disorder, is disorder anything short of the norm? That seems kind of a bit too broad to define such a strong word. Because even the hermit, I don't know if we would be quite proper in saying that he's disordered.
Well, I mean, when you would describe the hermit, I'm thinking of somebody who is so afraid of social interaction that they literally can't leave their home. I would say that's disordered.
isn't the actual definition of disorder, or maybe this is addiction. I don't know. Whatever this said thing that is being talked about creates problems that interfere with normal life. Is that when something like becomes a disorder, when it interferes with normal life, or or am I thinking of the term for addiction?
Well, the definition for disorder is simply the lack of order or regular arrangement, confusion.
Okay, we're not talking about environmental disorder.
The other definitions are not that much better. A breach of civic order or peace, a public disturbance. That's not it either.
Yeah, these are not the terms that we're looking for. We're talking about like medical disorder.
I mean, you could just simply call it a mental disorder. That kind of gets a little more at the root of what the problem is.
Yeah, but a mental. We're still looking at the word disorder here, though. We're just throwing it in the brain.
So let's look at this here then. So a mental disorder is a clinically significant disturbance of an individual's cognition, emotional regulation, or behavior.
Disturbance.
Yeah.
Disturbance. So is like a boner a disorder?
Why would that be the case?
Because that can fuck with your head.
Well, but that's a normal bodily function also.
Yeah, but it's a disturbance in the force, as it were.
I mean, it might be a disturbance of the mind.
Yeah.
But
Isn't that what it just said? A disturbance of normal cognition or whatever the freaking heck?
Okay, but it just says individual's cognition or emotional regulation or behavior. But
a boner can destroy all of those things.
Okay, yeah, but like also that's just a normal part of cognition. It is a natural bodily alteration. I mean, that's
okay.
not.
If you're born, if natural, what do you mean by natural?
I mean, if you're in the
psychopaths are natural.
If you're in the conference room at work giving a presentation and you got a raging boner,
yeah,
that's a disturbance.
Yeah, right? No freaking crap.
But if you're in most other states, or at least a state of appropriate sexuality, then that's totally fine.
And the same could be said for any psychological disorder.
So what are we saying, that anybody who gets boners are disorderly?
Depending on the situation. I think if you're in a freaking presentation and you absolutely just start poking the pants, you might have to say, sorry people, I just got a mental disorder. Let me step aside for a sec.
I suppose maybe you're right. Maybe I would.
Under that definition, I think I am.
I suppose if I was in this person's meeting and they got a boner, I'd be a little uncomfortable. So I guess maybe that is disorderly.
Well, boner can also mean blunder.
We found that out.
We found
a while back.
Yeah, a couple years ago, I read this book. Can't remember the author, but it was called How to Talk to Anyone, because I was quite a hermit, and I needed to not be. So I read a book called How to Talk to Anyone, and it was a pretty old book. And this woman used the term if you make a boner to as a synonym for if you blunder, basically a faux pas.
Yeah.
But no, that's not the boners we're talking about. So how did we get here?
I don't remember.
Well, hermits and disorders. So okay, maybe we're not going to get a firm definition on disorder if we can throw boners into that. But why did we bring up the hermit? Authentic self, as if you're in a comfortable environment, and the hermit would be comfortable basically nowhere except his room. I think that would be a disservice to say that that's his authentic self. So back to what I was saying earlier, I don't think authentic self can be correlated to whatever environment you feel most comfortable or least. Well, hold on now. if you're in an environment that you are perfectly comfortable, perhaps you could be in two totally different environments, but because you're perfectly comfortable in both of them, you're the same in both of them.
Yeah.
So, for example, the hermit might act the same after his 50th time going to a restaurant as he would in his room because his comfort level at the two is now the same. And maybe wherever you're most comfortable is your authentic self, or the closest thing we can call to an authentic self.
Right.
So you could be right.
Well, the other thing I was thinking of is, as far as comfort goes, what I'm more thinking of is kind of the path of least resistance. Because if you're having to try to be something, I would feel that indicates something like a mask. But if you don't have to try to be anything, you are quote unquote comfortable, then that might just be what is close to your real self.
If you don't have to try to be anything. But what if you want to try to be something? Like funny.
Then you're reaching out of the bounds of what is your true self. Right? But I mean, if you do it enough and you get comfortable enough, that could be adopted into your personality potentially. But if you're trying to be funny, that kind of means that you're not naturally funny.
I don't think that that's at all true.
Okay.
Shane Gillis is obviously extremely naturally funny, but he's obviously trying to be funny too. If he wasn't trying to be funny...
Okay, well, I'm clearly identifying a situation where somebody is not naturally funny, but is trying to be funny. Not somebody who is naturally funny and is also trying to be funny. These are separate ideas.
Okay.
If somebody is not naturally funny and they are trying to be funny, that means they are not naturally funny, but are trying to be. I.e., their trying is separate to their base self.
So if two people, one of them is naturally funny, one of them is not naturally funny.
Like if you get Shane Gillis and you in a room and you're not funny at all,
no.
but Shane Gillis is hilarious, right? His base self is funny and yours isn't.
But we'd both be trying to be funny.
But if you were both trying to make jokes, the result, assuming that you could keep up with Shane Gillis, the result is the same. You're both being funny. But one of you is being authentic to yourself and one is not. But should you...
Why is that? Why is striving to be better? Or so if somebody... Well, let's take this in a different direction. If somebody is like... If somebody is not... They're a little bit calm most of the time, but they're not super calm. But they try harder to be more calm.
Yeah.
Are they being fake because they're trying to extend their ability to be calm?
Well, I don't know if I would... Fake is such like a negative word for that application.
Are they being inauthentic then? Whatever you just said for the humor thing. If you're trying to extend some trait that you have a little bit of in you, is that being inauthentic?
If you are expending effort to be or do something that you are not ordinarily, then I would say that is the definition of being inauthentic. It's not bad.
But that's the Shane Gillis example. It's just he doesn't have to expend as much effort because he's already so funny. But he's not. It's not like he's not trying to be funny.
You've somehow missed the point again. The second time around. the thing about what is attached to the baseline self is not the trying. It's the natural part of it. Shane Gillis is naturally funny, therefore he is a naturally funny person.
Yeah. No, you have missed my point again. I understand that.
Okay.
I hear your point. I am saying Shane Gillis's natural level, I'm going to try to make this. Shane Gillis's natural funny level is here. Mm-hmm. My natural funny level is here.
Yeah.
Shane Gillis tries and his funniness gets up here, just a little bit higher. Let's say I try really hard and I get mine up here. Now we're on equal playing field. We're both I'm a little bit naturally funny. That's false, but for the sake of experiment, I'm a little bit naturally funny. He's a lot of it naturally funny. Why? Just because I'm trying so much more than he is, even though we're both trying, does that make me inauthentic and him authentic? We're both just extending what we already naturally have. It's just he's not doing it as much as I am.
Because if you weren't doing that, your baseline is much lower.
Okay, so where's the line then?
Well, I don't know, because when we're saying inauthentic and authentic, these are binary terms. And the whole thing about the spectrum of the mind is that nothing's binary. Right? So, I mean, to say funny or not funny it really doesn't even make sense. Because everything is on a spectrum. But so I don't know where the line is, because this is all theoretical anyway. But if you were not trying to be funny, I would say Shane Gillis is funny and you are not. And you try.
Hold on. Go back to the thought experiment.
Okay.
If neither one of us is trying to be funny, Shane Gillis is really funny and I'm a little bit funny. Mm-hmm. Now go. Continue what you were saying.
I completely disregarded it to think about your thought experiment.
Okay.
I guess I was
let me make your argument. Shane Gillis's natural funny is up here. My natural funny is down here.
Yeah.
Zero funny is down here.
Sure.
Okay? Because Shane Gillis trying lifts the needle by 1 degree and my trying lifts the needle by 20 degrees. I'm being inauthentic and he's being authentic, and you think what equals inauthenticity is the level that the trying is getting away from the baseline. You think how much the trying is compensating is how much inauthenticity there is.
Let's strip that back a little bit, because first of all, I never said that you were a little funny.
That's why I said keep going back to the thought experiment.
Right.
I
was completely working in a binary framework, which doesn't exist, right? But
yeah, I'm trying to avoid that.
Right. If you add in, well, I'm a little funny, then you could just say, well, then you're funny. If you're a little funny, you're funny. You're not as funny as Shane Gillis, but you're there, right? You've got the quality under your belt, right? But what I'm saying is, if you are not funny and you are trying to be funny, you are operating outside of the bounds of your normal state. But whether or not Shane Gillis tries, he just is funny.
Yeah.
No matter what.
So you're saying the inauthenticity is from 0 to anything more than 0.
If we're working in a binary framework,
which you just said is obviously not possible.
Right.
So that's why I'm talking about my thought experiment here, which I keep trying to get you to come back to, but you're not talking about.
Because it doesn't work for the argument I'm making.
What? Then your argument doesn't work.
Well, so because we were talking about, do you have a trait or do you not, is what we have been talking about. So if we're going to talk about, well, I'm a little bit, and then he's a lot of bit, and then you do a little bit of this.
Which is a more realistic scenario.
At that point, I don't think it matters. Because, I mean, what is the original premise? The original premise is that potentially, well, the whole premise doesn't even work, because then it's if you are not something and then try to be something, you are operating outside of the bounds of your own personality. But if you are a little funny, I mean, you could say if you try to be funny and you end up being more funny than Shane Gillis, right? And then Shane Gillis is just there, right? I don't know. He's just there. Or he tries to be funny, but he isn't as funny as you trying to be funny, right? You could say in the moment, oh, this guy's funnier than Shane Gillis. But as a baseline trait, you are not as funny as him. I guess that is the only way I can work in the framework of this gradation. In a comparative
So we're
sense.
saying, okay, yeah. I mean, duh. There's not very many people that are funnier than Shane Gillis.
Well, I mean, but that would work for anything. If
yeah.
you can try, the point is that if you try to, just because you try to be something doesn't mean you are that thing. Whatever you revert back to, whatever reversion means, is that even a word? Reversion? I don't know. Whatever you go back to, that is your state, right? And
Which we have determined can be very different depending on how you're feeling.
I'm not saying that I agree with the idea of a baseline psychological self even. I'm just saying if there is going to be made an argument for, this is how I would make it. Whatever you do, because the whole reason we started talking about this was because the path of least resistance, right?
Yeah.
If I have to go out of my way to, well, let me ask you this. So if you have to try with all your might to be hilarious, just to get slightly above Shane Gillis's baseline level of hilarity, right? But Shane Gillis could just walk out on stage and tell a knock-knock joke and just excel that. You could say that Shane Gillis is naturally funnier than you. Which seems obvious, but we're actually making a claim on a psychological self.
But
because his path of least resistance is higher than your the resistance required to excel beyond his humor is far greater than his baseline humor.
Basically, if Shane Gillis and I both tried at max level he would skyrocket above my humor. Which assumes the existence of a baseline.
Yeah.
Or is that just experience? He's an experienced comedian and I'm not.
What if we got Shane Gillis before comedy?
Yeah. And
and you could say that about anybody.
You could say that about anybody and any trait almost.
Yeah, let's say I was more funny than you, but it just, and we could do this comparison like, oh, these people both aren't comedians, but I just maybe, I don't know, had more experience somehow of trying to be funny or something like that. I don't know what that experience would be, but I just had more experience in the subject matter.
And are we saying how experienced you are at a thing is your authentic self?
Well, I did say, and we can discuss this, I did say that if you, let's say, tried to be funny and that just became your normal, humor then is a part of your baseline.
So I think what's becoming clear is that even if there is such a thing as an authentic self, it can be wildly changed.
Yeah.
Through time.
I mean, because if we're going to say that with all the caveats of the mind and hormones and all that with the influence there, I mean, you really can't look at one static collection of ideals or behaviors. There's no way to do it.
No.
And also that doesn't account for the changes in your life over time. Because your life is just going to change.
I mean, we literally talked about this in the habit thing. Sometimes your identity, which I'm going to use synonymously with authentic self, sometimes your identity can be associated with whatever habit you're doing. I don't skip gym days guy.
Yeah.
Or the I eat healthy guy, or insert habit here. And that just is that an aspect of your true self.
Well, if what I'm saying is accurate, which maybe it is, maybe it isn't, is that habit that you formed genuinely something that you don't have to think about? Is it genuinely something that you just do? Because if you just do it, maybe that is your true self.
So you're saying if you have to think about it, it's not.
If you are, well,
that doesn't sound quite right.
Well, I mean, if you have to think about something, if you have to push yourself to do something, that feels like you're doing something that you wouldn't naturally do. And I feel like the thing that you naturally do is the thing that you are. Aside from disorder.
I was just about to bring that up. So the side, but even then we just described give disorder a pill, who's really to say what orderly is, if everyone was psychopaths, that whole situation. But so I think I agree with that, but colloquially speaking, if somebody used to know somebody that was driven, healthy, dedicated, and disciplined, and then they got addicted to like heroin or something, and now they're none of those things, and they have been that way for a decade,
yeah,
that new heroin version is about as authentic self as they possibly could be. Right. Yet somebody that knew them before that state would obviously still say, this isn't you, man.
But it literally is. Yeah. It's that's just people speak, right?
That's why I'm saying, colloquially speaking, I don't think we would accept that.
What would be correct to say is, this is not what you used to be, which I determined to be the better version of yourself.
Right, which probably is correct.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But it is literally not what they are now.
In any way that a authentic self could be, I think, the pre heroin addict version isn't them anymore.
Yeah. Well, because think, in order to be who they were, they would have to, well, one, give up heroin, but also re-implement all these habits.
Yeah.
And how much resistance is that going to be? You have to really try to be the thing you used to be. And if you have to work to be who you were, you're not
It's pretty clearly that you're not that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and haven't been. So when somebody says, this isn't you, man, or like just anything along those lines, it's obviously coming from the right place. They're saying it in with good intentions, but I don't think that they're right. This is them now.
And you could say, well, heroin usage like this that destroys your life is just a disorder.
I think you could say that, yeah.
But also, maybe the disorderly is just them.
Yeah, what if you identify with a disorder? Like, my God, how terrible would it be to say, like, an autist, this isn't you, man.
I mean, that clearly is them.
It clearly is, yeah. I'm like, that ain't right. So why are we changing up the rules when it's something that came about after they were born, like heroin?
I don't know. I feel like maybe we shouldn't add the caveat of, this doesn't apply to the disordered, because it does. That is them.
Yeah.
In all senses of the word, it is them. Now, if they didn't have X problem, could they be different? Yeah, but that's true for anybody and anything.
Anybody in anything, absolutely. They could be different than what they are now.
If I didn't like donuts so much, I'd probably be a lot thinner, right? It's just anything. You insert anything into there. So you being the way you are, devoid of trying to be something else, is who you are.
Now here's an interesting thought. Is what people associate with an authentic self that person's idealized potential?
What people associate with somebody else's?
Yes. If I were a layman on the street looking at somebody else, would I see that person's authentic self as what I see their potential to be?
I think it depends. I mean, if I'm just walking around and seeing, if I just see a random homeless dude, I'm probably not thinking like that dude really, should be. Well, maybe you would. I don't know, I was just saying maybe I wouldn't associate them with some sort of idealized version, but maybe I would actually.
I think if you even knew them just a little bit, you probably would.
I feel that's what the distinction I was going to draw was if you knew them. Like I have friends who I think, are not living to their full potential. And I think, like, man, this person has these great qualities. If they only let those shine, or if they only developed in these certain aspects, they could really excel in these certain categories.
Yeah.
But that's just literally not what they are.
No. But I think there's something to be said for that being what people see as an authentic self in others. Specifically in others. I think that's the crucial point.
Well, if that's what they think, then they're just wrong. I mean, the authentic self is different than the idealized self.
Yeah.
But as far as how people view
But I think that's what's happening when the former friend looks at the decade addict.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're seeing when they say, this isn't you. You can be better than this.
Well, but maybe not though, because if two people are drinking buddies, and they go out drinking and they have fun together, and that's what they do, and then one guy gets sober and like really cleans up his life, becomes maybe a little bit too goody two shoes kind of guy, that drinking buddy guy is going to go to him and be like, man, this isn't you.
Yeah, but that's because that's the drinking buddy's idealized version of him.
Okay, so we're not talking about like conventionally good qualities. We're talking about specific to the viewpoint of the person.
This is on an individualized level of the person viewing the other.
Interesting. And they bring their own flaws into the identity.
Yeah, they want to see themselves in the other person. I mean, everybody knows that we all do that. It's a narcissistic trait just kind of built into us. We idealize other people through our own desires.
Yeah.
What we want them to be like and what we want to see them as. And I think that happens all the time. Our idealized version of the other person. I think that might be what we would associate them as their authentic self with. In a lot of situations.
I think that is something, for sure.
That might not be always the case, but there is something there. So, which brings the question, is authenticity basically just overrated?
I don't know if I'd say it's overrated, but I would say that if we're going off of what we've just discussed, authenticity is simply just the state you are.
Right.
So I don't know if I'd say it's overrated, but it just is. It just is what it is.
But if it's the state that you are and you can't be something other than what you...
Well, you can
be something other than what you are.
You can be something other than you are with.
But I think we determined basically that isn't necessarily being inauthentic, but it can just be simply bringing out traits that are already in you because of a different situation that you're in.
Yeah. I think as far as overrated goes, I think the idea of remaining authentic is overrated. For sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Because we talked about this. We did an episode on like love and dating a while back, and there was the whole idea of like, don't let anybody change you. You need to be true to yourself. And we said that was bullshit. I think this is equally bullshit.
Yeah,
because it's like just because it is not authentic to who you currently are to be something, let's say, better, doesn't mean you shouldn't do that. It just means that you're not currently there.
Yeah.
So being authentic, if my authentic nature is to, I don't know, just be an asshole or something, and somebody says, hey, don't do that, and I'm going to be like, hey, I'm being authentically myself.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't be, you know?
Yeah, no one agrees that the authentic dickhead should just be authentic.
Because, I mean, how common is that? How often do you hear people just be just terrible? And then you say, hey, now, don't. And then they're just like, I'm just being honest, man. I'm being authentically honest.
Oh, I hate that.
That's literally what we're talking about.
I just speak my mind.
That's literally what we're talking
that.
about. And it comes from a place of like, I'm being true to myself. To act the way I'm acting, I'm being true to myself. And being true to their self is of the utmost importance.
There's a guy I used to work with, you just reminded me of, that, putting it plainly, he's rude. And I like literally just said that, like that's a dickhead thing to say.
Yeah.
I've said that a few times to some things that he has said to other people. And he said just that. He said, man, I just speak my mind. I just be honest. I just say what's on my mind.
Literally don't.
Yeah. I'm like, he said, I'm not rude, because he didn't want to associate himself with being somebody that is rude, because that's a negative thing to associate yourself with. And he said, man, I'm not rude. I just speak my mind. I'm just honest. And I said, which means you're rude.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're speaking your mind. It doesn't matter if you're making it up, whatever you're saying that's rude. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the context on how that phrase that you said that was rude relates to yourself. If you said it and it's rude, then it's rude. It doesn't matter anything about the context of if it was authentic self, if it was your inauthentic self, if you were saying it just to be mean or the opposite. It was rude. Yeah. That is simply the case.
And also, not everybody wants to hear what they have to say either. That's the thing that gets me about it. It's just like, well, I just gotta speak my mind. No, you don't.
Why?
No, you don't. Nobody have a little self-awareness to realize that not everybody gives a damn about your position.
I am very guilty of this. I don't always just speak my mind. Like I'm not just like off the cuff saying things that I shouldn't say, but sometimes the things that I do say, I don't wrap in a soft enough package.
I can attest that this is true.
Yeah. And I do that with literally everybody. Yeah. The things that I do say, I do not package it softly enough in a lot of cases.
There's been many times you and I have had discussions about this, because I do that. I will, a problem that I have is sometimes I don't speak my mind enough when I really ought to, because like, you know, to stop a friend from doing something that's heinous, right? But when I do confront people or say something that is of my mind, right, I do package it in a very nice way, and I try to be very considerate to their emotions and things like that. And you and I had a conversation, maybe it was a couple of years ago now. You were just like, "That's stupid. That's so stupid that you'd ever take the time to do that."
Yeah. That sounds like something.
Granted, with the caveat that sometimes you just got to break through the bullshit to actually get the point across.
Listen, it's got its ups and it's got its downs. Yeah. It's got its goods, it's got its bads. But the I would say the best way to do it is not be like you and sort of soften up your phraseology too much, and not be like me, which is don't even try to package it in any certain way. But to try and adapt how you package what you say for the situation. That would be the best way to do that.
You're not trying to hurt people's feelings, but you are trying to get the point across.
Yeah, and sometimes you need more of bluntness, and sometimes you need less. And that's the, I would say, smart person's guide.
Well, because the other thing with that is everybody responds to criticism differently. And there's a lot of people that if you are overly blunt overly critical or rude or whatever you want to call it, that's just going to shut them down.
Yeah, whatever you said, whatever the contents of your message were, will be completely ignored.
Yeah.
And the tone of how you said it is all that's going to be heard.
And here's the other thing that I want to drive home with this is it's not just that the people receiving are just too sensitive, right? Here's the other thing. If you go too much on the attack, you lose credibility. That, in my opinion.
I think depending on who the recipient of the information is. Yeah. Sometimes being on the attack is the necessary thing to do. And I would say oftentimes it's not.
Right.
So there might not be an authentic self in the way that most people mean it. But what there is definitely consistent personality traits that permeate through time.
Yeah.
From an individualized basis. Now, how those traits express themselves can be totally different from situation to situation, and how much they express themselves can be totally different from situation to situation. So that part is pretty against the authentic self sort of paradigm. But one of the most popular ways of determining these is a Big Five test, a Big Five personality test. 5 being openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism.
What is neuroticism?
So, well, we'll go through all of them. So, high openness to experience, generally, these are broad generalities, by the way. So, these are not always the case, but broadly general. High openness to experience generally means curious, imaginative. You're an abstract thinker. You're sensitive to aesthetic. You enjoy new ideas, art, and philosophy, and you're comfortable with ambiguity. So a low openness to experience would basically just be the antithesis of those things. You prefer like routine. You don't like new stuff, changes. You're very conventional. You're not one to shake the boat. And you're less interested in basically any abstraction, any like art, any whatever.
Yeah.
Thought experiments, and so on. Conscientiousness. This one's a strong predictor. High conscientiousness is a strong predictor of academic success, job performance, and health longevity. So this one's important. High conscientiousness generally means you're organized, you're disciplined, you delay gratification, you're reliable, and you're plan-oriented. Easy to see why that one is job performance predicted. Low conscientiousness would be impulsive, disorganized, unstructured, and you're reactive to immediate stimulation. There's no delayed gratification within you. Extroversion, this one's pretty obvious. High extroversion is sociable, assertive, energetic, you seek stimulation. Low, or just introversion, would be reserved, reflective. You need, there's less of a need for external stimulation, and you prefer small social settings, Introversion also, by the way, doesn't necessarily mean you're socially anxious. Sometimes people can be completely comfortable in a social situation. They just don't prefer it. They just become drained over time by it. It is effortful to be in social situations, even though it is not anxious or anxiety stimulating.
Right.
And then there's agreeableness, high being compassionate, cooperative, trusting, and conflict avoidant. Low being competitive, direct, skeptical, and comfortable with confrontation. And then there's neurotic. A high neurotic person would be prone to anxiety, mood fluctuations, sensitive to stress, and you ruminate a lot. Low neuroticism would be basically just emotionally stable, you're calm, and you don't react so brazenly to stress. So, me and Fish took a very brief Big Five personality test, and we're actually going to compare each other's results.
Yeah.
I got to piss first.
Golly. Let me get another drink. Fucking.
Okay, so this was a very, very quick test, and I looked at my results the other day, and they're not quite how I would describe myself on some of them, but it's relatively accurate. So let's go about this. Let's see how you're more stupid than I am. So let's start with neuroticism. So it looks like Fish is quite a bit more neurotic than I am.
Definitely on some of these categories.
Yeah. So let's talk about the scales here.
Yeah, I don't understand. So it's 0 through 20.
A scale of 0 through 20, and there's subcategories within the big five. So under neuroticism, there's anxiety, anger, depression, self-consciousness, immoderation, and vulnerability.
Yeah.
That are all individually scaled. So on anxiety, I scored a 6 out of 20, which is very low. And Fish, you scored a 15?
Yeah, I guess I'm really anxious. I don't know.
That doesn't sound right.
Well, listen. So like I can be fairly anxious. I don't portray it often. Like I don't like it's not I'm not so anxious to like that it's at the forefront of my outer personality, I guess. But I suppose when I was answering the questions, I was like, well, okay, yeah, I could see internally some anxiety.
I guess internal anxiety, but not outwardly expressed, can still be anxiety.
Yeah. So all of these, I answered in a way that is as much as I can devoid of a mask, right?
Yeah.
As much as I can in my actual thinking.
Yeah, that's what I tried to do as best as I could. Whatever my internal state is. And apparently that's extremely low anxiety. 6 and 15 out of 20. So anger, we were pretty close on that.
I don't know how like we're pretty close. It's 6 and 8. You with 6, me with 8.
Yeah.
I feel like I answered every question with low anger. Unless you did a lot of so all of them were weighted very agree, moderately agree, kind of in the middle, moderately disagree, very disagree.
Yeah.
Did you do a lot of varies?
No,
Okay.
I was pretty conservative with my varies.
I was too. So how in the hell? Well, I mean, we're close anyway, but that's surprising to me because I feel like I answered every question with low anger because I don't anger easily.
Me neither. Apparently, neither one of us do it. 6 and 8 out of 20. So, and then depression. Apparently, we're both can be slightly prone to be depressed. I've got a 12, which is neutral, and then you got a 13, which is just barely above neutral.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't feel depressed, but apparently, we could be prone to it.
I can tell you that I am often prone to negative, like, and I think this is where it comes from. There were a lot of questions based on like, do you sometimes feel sad about these things? And the answer sometimes is yes. So I think maybe that's what pushed the needle, but I don't know if I'd call it depression. That is what was kind of confusing.
Yeah, I think of depression as the disorder part.
Yeah.
I don't think of it as just being sad sometimes. But well, here's what it describes depression as. The scale measures the tendency to feel sad, dejected, and discouraged. High scorers lack energy and have difficulty initiating activities. Low scorers tend to be free from these depressive feelings. So I guess it is talking about just the feelings part.
Mine says high.
Yeah, 12 is a neutral. Anything below 12 is low. Anything above 12 is high, is what it would describe it as.
Well, damn.
But it's on a scale of 20. So next we got self-consciousness. I got a 9 and you got a 14.
Yeah.
It describes self-consciousness as self-conscious individuals are sensitive about what others think of them. Their concern about rejection and ridicule causes them to feel shy and uncomfortable around others. They are easily embarrassed and often feel ashamed. Their fears that others will criticize or make fun of them are exaggerated and unrealistic. But their awkwardness and discomfort may make these fears a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's the freaking truth. Self-conscious individuals usually bring about the very things that they're self-conscious about because of their self-consciousness.
Yep.
Which that is a spiral that really sucks. But yeah, low scorers, in contrast, do not suffer from the mistaken impression that everyone is watching and judging them. They do not feel nervous in social situations. And like I said, I scored a 9 and you scored a 14. Mm-hmm. That seems, from me, that seems relatively high for you.
That's another one that I don't often portray, I guess. Now, and this is played up a little bit too. This is really situation dependent. There are.
That's why I said these are broad generalities that can change.
These are really.
Yeah.
So there are some things or some situations where I feel very self-conscious, and then there are others where it's like not a factor. So
right.
It was just happened to be the questions were particularly kind of skewed to a way that would make me rate it higher. So that 14 does seem high, but I'm not honestly surprised about that.
And then
what I'm not surprised about is this next one.
Crazy. We have immoderation. I scored a 9. You scored a top of the line 20.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. So read through immoderation.
Immoderate individuals feel strong cravings and urges that they have difficulty resisting.
Yeah.
They tend to be oriented towards short-term pleasures and rewards rather than long-term consequences. Low scorers do not experience strong, irresistible cravings and consequently do not find themselves tempted to overindulge.
So again, situation dependent. But if we're talking, so like financial frivolity, I'm nowhere near it.
Yeah.
Like I don't overspend. I don't need this has happened so much where I want something really bad, but I cannot commit to just making a decision on it. I have to do all the research. I have to is this going to work in my budget? And it takes me months.
Yeah.
And talk about delayed gratification. Now, if it's food, that's a different story.
I think this 20 number is coming from basically just your procrastination side. Like you'll procrastinate things that, or at least from what I see, you generally speaking you will procrastinate. This is not the right term for procrastination. You will delay the gratification of a financial purchase till the end of time, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to something that is discomfort, even in a small degree, you'll probably procrastinate it. Like just like when you unpackage like a box, the box will probably stay on the counter for a while because it shows a small exertion of effort to break down the box and throw it in the whatever.
Yeah.
So those like things, I see the procrastination all the time.
I do procrastinate a lot. So yeah, there is that. I feel like this 20 paints a picture that is not accurate. But no, there are. I would rate myself. Well, hell, what would I rate myself? Maybe like a 13 or a 14, maybe. It would still be high, but I don't think it'd be a damn 20.
Yeah, I don't know. The difficulty, strong cravings, difficult resistance tend to be oriented short-term pleasures and rewards. Yeah, I mean, you seem to be quite, I don't know. I think if it were me from the outside looking at it, I would say like 16 or 17. Because you do things that are just oriented towards short-term, like drinking a freaking Diet Coke at 8 p.m. Or like I said, not throwing away the thing or not taking this freaking test. Like the things that are going to bring short-term discomfort, generally you will procrastinate.
Well, and it also depends. So like certain avenues of life are more prone to that than others. So
That's what I said. Like the total opposite is the case when it comes to things like finances.
Yeah. And also like work stuff. Like I'm usually pretty on top of it. It's just like certain avenues and certain subjects.
And then the last one of neuroticism, we have vulnerability. I scored a 6 and you scored an 11. I'm extremely not vulnerable.
Well, I mean, I feel like this kind of goes hand in hand a little bit with the self-consciousness.
Perhaps.
You know, it's a similar kind of breakdown there. And also anxiety. I mean, you factor all these things together and you're going to end up with a more vulnerable individual.
Yeah.
Situation dependent.
So as a whole on neuroticism, I scored of a score of 0 to 120. I scored a 48 and you scored an 81.
Yeah.
So next we got extroversion. This I think we could have seen this one coming of a score 0 to 120. Extroversion as a whole, I scored a 76 and you scored a 51.
So you're not honestly, well, I don't know. I guess I do feel like you are more extroverted than I am, but I guess you are still in the grand scheme of things not super extroverted.
No, I would say I'm pretty middle of the road. Yeah. Yeah, I would still call myself introverted. I think. So of the extroversion breakdown, we've got friendliness, gregariousness, assertiveness, activity level, excitement seeking, and cheerfulness. So I scored a 15 from a scale of 0 to 20. 15 on friendliness, and you scored a 9.
I don't see. This is another one where like what questions led to that? I would really do they break that down?
I don't know. I don't think so. I didn't see that.
No, I don't think so. Because like.
I think all of them, I think almost all the questions play into almost all the traits, at least to some degree. They're obviously weighted. Some questions weigh more towards certain traits than others, but I think even what's the seemingly less related questions probably weigh in to some degree to.
Because I don't remember, there wasn't a question just like.
How nice are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't any overt friendliness questions.
And there wasn't, I think there might have been one like. You like to help people or something like that, or something along
like
those
you take
lines.
advantage of others or something like that.
Well, there was a take advantage of others, and I rated those pretty low. So I don't know how we got a low friendliness score, but that's fine.
I got a high. I got a 15.
Or did I get a moderate? Or
you got a 9, slightly below average, slightly below the middle ground. So gregariousness. Neither one of us are gregarious whatsoever. I got a 7. You got a 5.
God.
So gregariousness is gregarious people find the company of others pleasantly stimulating and rewarding. They enjoy the excitement of crowds. Low scorers tend to feel overwhelmed by and therefore actively avoid large crowds. Yeah, neither one of us are gregarious.
I've said this
whatsoever.
I've said this for years. A large gathering is something I don't really particularly enjoy.
Yeah, me neither.
Small gatherings, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm down.
Now this is a big contrast on assertiveness.
Yeah.
I got a 16 and you got an 8. That's a pretty. I literally doubled the assertiveness. It self-describes assertiveness as high scores in assertiveness like to speak out, take charge, and direct the activities of others. They tend to be leaders in groups. Low scores tend not to talk much and let others control the activity.
Yep. I mean, so I'm in leadership now with my job. I literally told them when I took the job and have since followed through on this. I lead with cooperation. That's what I say. What that's code for is I don't necessarily like to be head honcho, big boss, making the decisions, throwing my weight around kind of guy. I like to group discussions, come to a decision, and we can follow through from there. Now, if I gotta be the guy to make the final decision, sure. But as far as like just because I say so, leading, I'm gonna be the in charge guy. I don't do that too much.
Yeah, I don't like to think of myself as when I was in positions of leadership and jobs. I don't like to think of myself as a guy who just is a boss man because I say so. I don't think I was trying to be an unreasonable leader, but I definitely acted as if I was the one telling the people what to do because that's what I'm there for.
Right.
Like, I don't like to think that this is a self-evaluation, which is oftentimes unreliable. So grain of salt here, but I don't like to think of myself as the guy who was, like I said earlier, like kind of the brute, do it because I say so, I'm your boss, whatever.
Well, I mean, you can lead strongly and not do that, but for me personally, that particular archetype, the solo leader, decision maker guy, I just don't enjoy that. Now, here's the thing: if we were saying leading by cooperation, leading discussions, and then trying to fit kind of in a democracy sort of way, fit the ideals of the community into a thing and implement it and be in charge of implementing it. If we counted that as leadership, I would have answered these questions differently.
But that I would say that's kind of not assertiveness, though.
And no, it's not. It's whether or not it. Well, here's why I said that. There was a lot of questions about leadership. Mm-hmm. If that style of leadership were to be counted as leadership, maybe it is, then I would rate leadership higher. But I don't necessarily think that's assertiveness.
No. So next, on activity level, I scored a 16. You scored a 9. So activity level, not just being like how much activity you do per se, but it describes it as active individuals lead fast-paced, busy lives. They move about quickly, energetically, and vigorously, and they are involved in many activities. People who score low on the scale follow a slower, more leisurely, relaxed pace.
Yeah.
And I think this one's probably pretty accurate. I'm generally liking to always be doing something.
If you asked me,
like this 16 score for me, 9 for you, could have probably been teased out by the way of I don't like recliners and you do.
yeah.
Like,
Granted, how often I find myself in a recliner is low, but if you asked me this several years ago, I feel like I lived a more active lifestyle as far as like just constantly doing stuff. Mm-hmm. Lately, that's not been the case, but I would say I do live a somewhat busy lifestyle. I'm usually working. I'm usually doing something here. But
I think what this is getting at, though, is if you would have that by choice.
Then that's the thing. It's not that I wouldn't want to do stuff, because I would. I need to be doing something, but the rate at which I do it, the speed at which I do it, for me, it does not have to be fast.
And the quantity of things that you do.
Yeah, if I could take my time and do one or two things well, I would prefer that as opposed to a lot of different things. I like this also carries over to my work. I don't like a bunch of tasks in a row. I like big projects over time.
Yeah. So we got excitement seeking. This one I scored an 11. You scored an 8. I was pretty middle of the road. You were slightly lower than middle for excitement seeking. That one's probably true. And then this is the only one where I scored lower in extroversion, which is cheerfulness. I scored an 11. You scored a 12. Apparently, I'm a little less cheerful than you are.
That might be accurate.
But we're both quite middle of the road.
Yeah.
All right. So next big one, openness to experience. On a whole, we were almost identical. So on the whole total scale of the 0 to 120, I scored a 93 and you scored a 95. On the individual trait level, they varied quite a bit, actually. So imagination, I scored a 12 and you scored a 19 on imagination. I am not very imaginative, apparently, or I'm not so much not, but very middle of the road imaginative. And apparently you are nearly top of the line imagination.
I feel like that's accurate. I often find myself daydreaming. I often think about kind of creative outlets, don't always follow through on them, i.e. procrastination, but often think about them.
High imagination paired with high immoderation.
Yeah, I come from an artistic family, so I mean I feel like that's fairly accurate.
Yeah, we got artistic interests. I got a 14 and you got a 17.
Well, what are you interested in? What the frick?
Artistically?
Yeah, what is that? What led you
This
to
podcast.
Okay, so that's how you got here.
Probably, yeah, I'm guessing.
I know there was also a couple questions about museums and stuff that I said that I liked.
Art. Yeah, I like art.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that stuff. Yeah, so you're high. You obviously are higher than I am, but we're both seem to be scoring relatively high on artistic interests. And then we scored identically, both 12, on emotionality.
What is emotionality? Read that.
So it describes emotionality as persons high in emotionality have good access to and awareness of their own feelings. Low scorers are less aware of their feelings and tend not to express their emotions openly.
Okay, so this isn't how emotionally reactive you are. This is just simply how aware you are of your. And we are average to slightly above.
I was going to say
that makes sense.
Pretty much middle of the road.
That makes sense.
And then this one, I scored on adventurousness a 19, and you scored a 14.
Yeah.
Apparently, I'm highly adventurous, eager to try new activities, travel to foreign lands, and experience different things. They find familiarity and routine boring. Apparently, I am quite that. And then next, not to jerk my own cock here, but I scored a perfect top of the line 20 on intellect.
This is why self-surveys can't be trusted, honestly. But I wasn't far behind yet.
And then you scored
you
scored an 18, right behind me on intellect. And then last, liberalism. I scored a 16 and you scored a 15. So that liberalism being like how unconventional, how comfortable you are with uprooting the standard operation of things, the tradition, as it were. How okay you are with just traditional liberalism. Well, apparently, we're both quite liberal. Okay, we got agreeableness next. So on the 0 to 120, the as a whole scale, I got an 85 and you got a 96 on agreeableness. You apparently are a little bit more agreeable than I am.
Well, this goes. I mean, just to read this little like overarching category. So agreeableness reflects individual differences in concern with cooperation and social harmony. So yeah, I mean, right there, we kind of just talked about it a little bit, not only with the leadership thing, but also the thing we talked about before.
Yeah.
The what were we talking about? It was the how you present. What the hell is the word I'm looking for? Good Lord. I just lost. Well, anyway, how you present things to people that might make them feel bad or something. I package it in a way that is more socially harmonious, and you might not.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's we already kind of talked about this distinction, but let's go through it though.
Yeah. So on the subcategories of agreeableness, on trust, I scored a low 9, and you scored a high 15. On trust, it describes trust as a person with high trust assumes that most people are fair, honest, and have good intentions. Person with low trust is the antithesis. So I don't trust people, and you do, basically.
Yeah, I often talk like I don't trust people, but I often feel as though I trust people anyway. I talk as though I don't, but in practice, I just do trust people.
So next we got morality. We both scored quite high on this. A 15 for me and a 17 for you on morality. What it describes morality. High scorers on this scale see no need for pretense or manipulation when dealing with others and are therefore candid, frank, and sincere. Low scorers believe that a certain amount of deception in social relationships is necessary. People find it relatively easy to relate to the straightforward high scorers on this scale. They generally find it more difficult to relate to the unstraightforward low scorers on this scale. Apparently, we're both very high in that. Next, we got altruism. I'm a 13, middle of the road, and you're a 16, high. You're more altruistic than I am, I guess, by a little bit.
Get fricked, dude.
Yeah, I'm a bad boy. Come get me. Next, we got cooperation. I scored a middle of the road 13 again, and you scored an almost top of the line 19 to cooperation.
Yeah.
That's pretty high. I cooperate a standard amount, and you cooperate most of the time. And then I got on modesty, a perfect top of the line. Perfect is not the right word for this. A top of the line 20, and you scored an also very high 16. Modesty being high scorers on the scale do not like to claim that they are better than other people. In some cases, this attitude may derive from low self-confidence or self-esteem. Nonetheless, some people with high self-esteem find immodesty unseemly. Those who are willing to describe themselves as superior tend to be seen as disagreeably arrogant by other people.
See, and I feel like they're only. I don't know how the hell you got a 20.
I apparently, I am extremely against saying I'm better than other people.
See,
I guess,
and I also feel that way, but I feel like I answered a couple of questions here with the caveat knowing that like most people have narcissistic tendencies.
Including ourselves.
So I feel like that's why, I don't know. I feel like there was a couple in there where I was like, okay, I think in the background, I probably feel a little bit this way. Still enough to get me a high score, but like with the caveat of like, yeah, you're gonna feel a little narcissistic sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that applies to us as well as everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
I think even if there's a little background of, but other people, insert literally anything here, then you're already being narcissistic.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
I say you just said there's a little bit of a background of other people are all narcissistic.
Yeah, well, including myself is what I meant. But everybody's like that. I was getting at.
Which that mindset is of greater modesty.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. I answered these questions.
Stupid freaking garage door.
I answered these questions in a way that, takes into account just a baseline narcissism. But Anyway, apparently you're just perfect or something.
I think this means that I think I'm anything but is what this means. Last on the agreeableness, we've got sympathy. This one surprised me.
Yeah.
I got a 15, pretty high, and you got a 13, relatively middle of the road. It describes sympathy as people who score high on the scale are tender-hearted and compassionate. They feel the pain of others vicariously and are easily moved to pity. Low scorers are not affected strongly by human suffering. But apparently we both are, which I guess is good.
That feels accurate for me.
The surprising thing here is that I scored higher than you. I
That
would have like this is a 10-minute test. There's errors here.
Yeah.
And this could be one of them. I would almost certainly say you're more sympathetic than I am.
I would also certainly say that. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah. So the last of the big five is conscientiousness. Now, this is the one that we derivated from each other almost the most. On the scale of 0 to 120, I scored a 107. I scored higher on this than any other trait. And you scored a 78. Conscientiousness. So on the subcategories of conscientiousness, on self-efficacy, I scored almost a top of the line 19, and you scored a middle of the road 12. So it describes that as confidence in one's ability to accomplish things. High scorers believe they have the intelligence, in parentheses, common sense, drive, and self-control necessary for achieving success. Low scorers do not feel effective and may have a sense that they are not in control of their lives. Apparently, you're just average for this, and I am nearly as high as it can be,
That's dumb.
which is interesting.
No, that's fair. Average seems about right.
Orderliness, I almost doubled your score. I got a 17 on orderliness, very high, and you got a lower than average on a 9 of orderliness. It describes orderliness. Persons with high scores on orderliness are well organized. They like to live according to routines and schedules. They keep lists and make plans.
See, I do procrastinate. I feel like that definition that you just read, I feel like I would score a little higher as far as like routines and schedules, because I do appreciate a schedule and I do like being punctual. But as far as like, I mean, like I said, like procrastination would be kind of low. But that's like the main thing. I don't know. Maybe a 9's about right. Maybe I would say like
Slightly
a 9 or
below
10.
average.
I would say like a 9, 10, 11, somewhere in there.
Next, we got dutifulness. We almost matched here. I got a 17 and you got an 18. It describes this as the scale reflects the strength of a person's sense of duty and obligation. Those who score high on the scale have a strong sense of moral obligation. Low scorers find contracts, rules, and regulations overly confining. They are likely to be seen as unreliable or even irresponsible. And we both scored very high on that. And then I think this one was probably predictable. On achievement striving, I scored a top of the line 20, and you scored a slightly below average 10 for achievement striving. That, I think, is pretty predictable. Individuals who score high on the scale strive hard to achieve excellence. Their drive to be recognized as successful keeps them on track toward their lofty goals. They often have a strong sense of direction in life, but extremely high scores might be too single-minded and obsessed with their work. That would be me. Low scorers are content to get by with a minimal amount of work and might be seen by others as lazy. And you were just basically in the middle.
Yeah.
And I was as high as it can get.
That's another fair enough one.
I think that's pretty fair, yeah. Next, we got self-discipline. I scored, again, a very high 18, and you scored a very average 10.
I keep getting right in the middle.
You're
on a lot of
right
this.
in the middle. Where you seem to be right in the middle of conscientiousness in some parts.
I feel like on all the ones where it's like, is what we were talking about, like the achievement seeking or the orderly or the procrastination. That's all like very average to slightly below average, and then there are certain categories where it just blows it up.
Your dutifulness was huge, and then your cautiousness, which is the last one on this, is huge. I got a 16 on cautiousness. You got a 19, extremely high cautiousness. It would describe as the disposition to think through possibilities before acting. Yeah, which I think maybe I would self-describe myself as a little bit lower than a 16. 16 seems high. I think 19 is right. You're extremely cautious. Like the amount of times you and I have had discussions on things, and I'm like, the fastest way to learn how to do this is to stop planning and start doing it. And you're like, but I just want to plan like what's necessary. And then you usually go what I would deem as way beyond planning what's necessary.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel as though I like having a solid plan going into things. Now, over planning can just be simply inaction.
Right. A lot of times preparation masks itself. Procrastination masks itself as preparation. Yeah. I think that can happen. That can happen.
I think that's part of this 19. I think the other part of it is, in general, I just am cautious.
Yeah, way more than I am.
I am risk averse. That's true also. But yeah.
Yeah, so we are quite different in neuroticism and extroversion and conscientiousness, but very much the same or very close in agreeableness and openness to experience. And on the subcategories of those can vary wildly. But I think this is overall pretty decent. It was a quick test.
Yeah.
Big 5 test.
I feel like this really, obviously, for each of us, it highlights some weaknesses, but it also highlights some strengths.
Yeah.
Yours being, I think, particularly the achievement striving and...
Well, it described a high score of achievement striving as narrow-minded and...
Oh, never mind. You suck. So... Well, there you had some. Yeah,
the achievement striving. They strive hard to achieve excellence. Keep track of their lofty goals, a strong sense of direction in life, but extremely high scorers may be too single-minded and obsessed with their work. Is how it.
Which I mean, that's fair. I feel like.
I would say that's a correct description.
I would say a lot of people kind of idealize the achievement striving mindset, and a lot of people, honestly, in some aspects, myself included, could use a little more of that. But also, if you are too focused on one thing or too driven in one aspect, you miss a lot of valuable experiences otherwise, or other avenues that you could really excel in and that would benefit your life.
Perhaps. Yeah, I don't see the value, I guess.
Well, that's why you got a freaking 20. I suppose that'll identify it right there.
Yeah, there's my 20. There's my 20 talking. Okay, so we've got a game to play. We've got a pretty cool game that I forgot the name of.
Wavelength. Yeah. Okay. So Wavelength. If you haven't heard of Wavelength, what are you doing? It's a pretty, at least was the last couple of years, a popular kind of online game to play for like YouTube audiences and stuff. So essentially what the game is we're going to have a scale prompt. One side is something, one side, I'll give you an example here. One side is thrilling and the other side is terrifying.
Thrilling and terrifying.
So one of us is going to be the guesser and one is going to be the clue giver, right? So mix this thing up and reveal it only to themselves. And that's going to show you a score scale. So 2 through 4. So I'm going to see that, and I'm going to see that it's more on the side of thrilling And then I'm going to close this up again. And then I'm going to think of a thing in this particular situation that is more thrilling, trying to get Ben to line this target, this red target, up to that. We would reveal, and you'd get that many points. Make sense?
All right.
We're going to do that. So it's, like I said, 2 through 4 on the scoring. We're going to do 6 rounds of this.
Okay.
And we're going to try to shoot for a score of 15.
Okay.
I think that's
15 through 6. Okay. I think we can get that. I think we can get that.
15 through 6. Because what would that be? That would be if we only...
A perfect score is 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, right?
A perfect score is 4 every round.
And then orange is 3 and then yellow is 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if we had a perfect game, 4 points for 6 rounds, we'd have 24 points. If we did only the bottom score, excluding 0 points, that would be 12.
So we got to do a little bit.
So maybe 15 is a lot.
That's a lot. Let's keep it though.
Let's keep it.
The bar is set. We got to reach it. The bar is set. We got to reach it.
So we gotta get points on the board every time.
Yeah.
Or we can miss
Or we got to
one.
get a few spot ons.
Okay, so let's just go front to back here. So we've got on the left side of the column. Oh, I apologize for audio listeners. Come to the YouTube if you want to see what we're doing.
Come to watch the YouTube video. If
We'll try to explain what's going on.
Yeah, we'll commentate best we can.
So on the left side of the dial here, we've got Nobody Does It, and on the right side we've got Everyone Does It. So nobody does it, everyone does it. So you're gonna look away.
yeah, I'm not allowed to look at that. Left side is nobody does it. Right?
Yeah, and you can see it up there.
Okay. No one does it. Everyone does it. I feel like you can get. I feel like you can get this one. Unless we can't.
Man,
Nobody does it. Everyone does it.
why am I so stupid?
If this you're communicating information to me.
Yeah.
If this was all the way on the left or all the way on the right, you would say like walking. Everybody does it. So you already have narrowed it down for me here.
Okay, all right. Going to the gym at least once a month.
Once a month. Mm-hmm. Wow.
I hope that's a good clue.
Holy frick. Going to the gym at least once a month? I would say like...
And just for everybody who doesn't understand the game, I have given the clue. I am done helping. I cannot.
Okay.
No glances. No.
So going to the gym once a month. The average dude or dudette, the average individual doesn't go to the gym ever. So this has to be below average. Mm-hmm. But once a month has to raise that up from consistent gym goers to slightly below average, I would think. To like, okay, I'm thinking like, it's got to be like there. Like,
Whenever you're ready, flip it up.
I'm so scared. Okay, I'm going slightly left of center.
Leaning on the side of Nobody Does It.
Leaning on the side of Nobody Does It. Oh, yes. Let's go, dude. Okay. We got a 3.
That's
we
a
got
3.
a 3.
Wow.
That's good. We were so close to getting 4, dude.
Hold on. I'm gonna get a notepad up. So
Let's go. Okay. That's a good start. We got 3 to start it off. Let's freaking go.
That was really good.
That's good.
All right.
That's good.
So that one's done. So we got a 3. So your prompt is going to be, you're going to be the one giving the clue here.
Yep.
On the left, bad person. On the right, good person.
Oh my gosh.
And you can mix that up and look at it.
Person. Okay. Okay.
We're good.
Bad person on the right is good person. On the left is bad person. Dude, this is freaking hard.
I know, dude.
Thinking of something quite right is tough. Let's see. I'm going to go with Abraham Lincoln.
Wow. Okay. Context included here. You have to put him on the side of good person, I would say. There's no way around that. Freed the slaves, good dude. That's a good thing. But is he like the most good person? Right? See, let me just, and you can't tell me if I'm on the right track here.
I'm not saying anything,
But
nothing's coming into
here's where my mind starts. Like right there. That's where my mind starts. And for people that are listening, that's like halfway between middle and completely on the right side of good person. So what I'm asking myself now is, why is it not all the way over? And I really don't know why, other than I just feel like it's not. I don't have a good reason for that. For some reason, I feel like we're right there.
Which is slightly further than halfway to good person.
Yeah. God, this feels bad. I think I'm going to go with this.
Let's go, dude. Let's go. That's so good.
That's another 3. Oh, we are.
Yes, dude.
We are so doing it right now.
we are on pace right now, dude. Let's go. I knew you were gonna think that. I knew you were gonna think he's obviously not all the way to the right, but my God, he freed the slaves. He's got to be somewhere. Yes, I knew exactly you were gonna do that.
Oh,
that is good. Okay, we have got 6 on the board. Let's go.
6 of our 15. Okay. Hey, topical. So on the left side of the board, we're going to have introvert. On the right side of the board, we're going to have extrovert. So I'm thinking along this lines like actions. That's what I think is what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
So I'm gonna
Introvert and
mix this
extrovert.
up. All right. Don't look at this.
Left side introvert, right side extrovert.
Okay.
This one has nuance all over it. I feel like this one could be tough. You gotta give me a good one.
Man.
Introvert, extrovert.
Introvert, extrovert.
And by the way, you said you're thinking of actions, not individuals.
Yeah, I'm going
right?
to focus on I'm going to focus on actions, not people.
So better would be introverted or extroverted
Yeah.
in action.
All right. Striking up a conversation with the person at the checkout lane at the grocery store.
Striking up a conversation. Okay, that is not that extroverted, but it's obviously on the side of extroverted. But it's like one of the lowest bars of being an extrovert, I would say. So it would have to be slightly right, but not even like middle. It would have to be slightly towards extroverted, but not even like halfway to extroverted is what I'm thinking. It would be a quarter of the way towards extroverted, I would say. I'm gonna do that. And we're all right, let's see how it is. Oh, is that a 2 or a 3? We're close.
That is a 2.
Damn. Okay.
So that's a 2. That's points on the board.
That's points on the board. That's not.
I feel like that was a pretty decent clue. I
don't know, dude. Striking up a conversation with the.
because I'm not going to say I'm not
bar of extrovert.
I mean, well,
I don't think that's halfway to being fully extroverted.
what would have been a good clue there, you think? Halfway to extrovert, because you can't say like
halfway to. I would say like Shoot. That's
See, this is
that's
the
a bit of a tough one.
Because I didn't want to say something crazy extroverted, then you go all the way over here
Yeah.
or something. So that's why I was like, I got to hedge my bets a little bit. I have to play it safe. Because with extroverted, it's so easy to be like, oh yeah, I mean, you're gonna like, be the life of the party. You're gonna be the center of attention. Oh yeah, dude, like all the way. But if you're here in the middle, it's just like, it's so easy to not strike up a conversation and just get that transaction done and be over with. But you are a little bit.
Yeah, but that seems to me more than a little bit. I was
suppose.
going for just a little bit.
Yeah, I suppose. I just don't know what would be a 20.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what would be a little bit more than that.
Yeah. Well, we got 2 points on the board for that.
That's better than nothing. We are currently
What are we currently at? We're at 3, 3, and 2, so 8.
we're at 8.
And we got what? 3 or 4 rounds to play?
3. So, next we got on the left conventional wisdom, or on the right fringe belief. So, time to spin the frick.
Spin the frick.
Holy cow.
Fucking smack the mic while I'm at it.
Okay. So,
You're done? Okay.
I'm done. Yeah. Conventional wisdom, fringe belief. Let's see. This is going to be a tough one, I think. Let's see. I can't give away. So we're going to, I think we have to add some clarification questions to this. When it's
Okay.
talking about conventional wisdom or fringe belief, is it saying wisdom as something that is literally wise or something that is just ubiquitously known?
Well, conventional wisdom is just something that people know.
So it's not actually talking about how wise or unwise.
The thing is, does everybody know and agree with it, or is it something that only some people believe? It's a fringe.
Right, but
It's not actual wisdom. It's just what is known.
okay, so it has nothing to do with how wise or unwise.
Basically, common belief, uncommon belief. Basically,
Belief or knowledge? Would it be people know this or people don't know this?
it'd be on the left. People know this, or it's commonly known, which is a synonym,
Yeah.
or.
No one knows about this.
But fringe belief makes it seem like it's something.
It makes it seem like a lot of people know about it, just no one believes it.
Yeah, it's like an out there kind of thing.
Well, let's just pick one. Are we talking about common knowledge or uncommon knowledge, or are we talking about common knowledge, but everyone believes this, no one believes this? Which one are we talking about?
I would say common knowledge, uncommon knowledge.
Okay.
I think that's why that's
we'll
how I would.
we'll go with it. So we'll say it as a form of people would know this or people would not know this. Shoot, that kind of makes it hard.
Wait, hold on. What was the other thing you said? The other example?
It's it's all common knowledge, but everyone believes it or nobody believes it.
I'm kind of feeling like that's actually what it is, because conventional wisdom is like everybody subscribes to it, and fringe belief is like only certain people would believe it. So I think actually you're right. I think it's actually the other one.
Okay, so we'll go with this is not asking us about knowledge. This is asking us about how many people would.
Yeah, because conventional wisdom is something that everybody believes is true, and fringe belief is something that only certain people would believe is true. A small number of people would believe is true.
Okay.
I think that's the most accurate to the prompt.
Okay. So we'll go with that then. Not a question of knowledge. In that case, Bigfoot is real.
So immediately we're on the side of fringe belief. But also, see, here's the tricky part. If we're going strictly on belief status, many people don't believe it. But people know that it is a belief. So it's like, man. So I either need to go like a very select few people are going to believe this, or I need to say a very select people are going to believe this, but also upping it a little bit, people at least know about it. But I don't know if that matters. Bigfoot is real. I feel like we just determined that we are talking about if people believe it or do not believe it, and not if they know about it or don't. We just determined that. So based on that knowledge, okay,
Should have gone further, dude.
I was really
I was
okay.
about to be pissed at you if you just went back on what we just decided.
I know. Well, I was confused. I was thinking you are so stupid. Wow. So that would have had to have been all the way over. So we got a 2 out of the 4. So that's
all the way over to fringe belief would have been a perfect 4.
Yeah. Okay. Well, God.
Because basically no one does.
Yeah. Basically, no one does. Yeah, you're probably right. I felt like, man, maybe there's like, you could have gone incredibly absurd or something. I guess a Bigfoot is already kind of absurd.
Yeah. Like what would have been absurd? Aliens?
Well, I feel like aliens would be like,
Yeah,
there.
that's what I thought. More
Yeah.
people believe in aliens. So what would have been absurd? More absurd than Bigfoot. But still something that isn't obviously just like a teapot is flying around the Earth right now in orbit, or like the moon is made of cheese. Like something that isn't like. I thought Bigfoot was about as close as I could have gotten.
Yeah,
to. That's
you're
actually
probably
realistic.
right. I probably could have gone a little further, but same thing.
We
as
still
that.
got points on the board.
We got 2 points on the board. I'm happy with that. Could have been a 4, but it wasn't.
Not quite. All right,
Yeah, what?
2 more rounds.
2 more rounds of this. So, all right, we got on the left here, we got bad for you, and on the right, we've got good for you.
Okay, that can be pretty ambiguous. Bad for you, good for you. Huh. This one could be really easy or really hard, depending on where it landed.
Man.
I don't know where to go from there. Man.
I'm feeling drawn to this answer, and I don't know if it's a good one. I'm not going to add too many qualifiers here.
Yeah,
I
can't get too much information here.
I'll just say I don't know if this is a good one, but I'm drawn to saying this, so I'm going to say it anyway.
Okay.
Cottage cheese.
I can tell you that was an awful answer. Good for you or bad for you? What? Okay. I'm assuming you're taking a health direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good for you or bad for you? Cottage cheese. Well, it's not awful for you. It's not really great for you. It's quite middle of the road, if not slightly. Shoot, man. Cottage cheese. It's got to be pretty freaking in the middle. Slightly left, slightly towards bad for you. Maybe, but just like barely. Dude, I don't really know this. I don't know this. This might be the most uncertain guess we've had so far. I'm gonna go cottage cheese. I'm going to go ever so slightly in the direction of bad for you on cottage cheese. Oh. Okay, well, I opened it and it was at a 3. I accidentally moved the thing. So that's pretty good. That was pretty good.
That was a difficult prompt to deal with, but
we got there in the end. At least I think that was at a 3.
yeah, I was definitely at a 3.
Okay.
So we're at, what is it? 3 times. Hold on, I'm doing some math.
Mathematics. We've done pretty good. We've gotten 3, 3, 3, and 2 2s. So that's 14. We're at 14.
We're at 13.
We're at 13.
Wow.
3 through 3 is 9. Not
that
10,
puts us in an interesting spot then. So basically, we just have to get points on the board.
Yeah.
For this last
we
round.
have to get at least a 2. We're doing pretty good. Okay. Last prompt.
So we could lose it. So just to drive that home, if we don't land on the scoreboard,
Which we have not done yet.
we haven't done yet, but if we don't land on the scoreboard, we lose.
Okay. We've got feels bad or feels good.
Okay. And you're the cluer.
Yeah. Oh, man, this is stressful. Okay.
Was that a hint?
Okay. Feels bad, feels good. We're going to go with... Holy cow, dude. I need to make this a good prompt. Feels bad, feels good. Gotta lock in for this. I gotta lock the frick in.
Log in, chat.
Oh, man. Feels bad, feels good. Oh, man, this is tough. This is stressing me out. We're going to go with... We're going to go with relaxing in a comfortable chair after work.
All right. Immediately we're on feels good. So what I'm thinking here, this is where my mind goes. As far as like if it were to be the most feels good, we're talking euphoric. Right? We're talking
Your brain is in an experience machine.
right. And I like relaxing in a chair after work, but it's not orgasmic nearly, right? So for some people maybe, but not me. So we're between, oh shit. So, well, let's define neutral. So neutral would be, I can't even think of an example of neutral, but like just something that you don't care about. It's just a thing you do, but it's not something maybe habitual. It's maybe something it was habitual in the sense that it's just not something you even think about. But a lot of people relax after work. My mind goes, knowing that the needle, as far close as it goes to far right, far feels good, we are entering a euphoric state. Knowing that, I feel like it only nudges the needle a little bit. Maybe that's even too much. Maybe it wasn't too much. Maybe. To me, we are on, wow. back over. So where I'm at is slightly past center going into feels good. I'm going to lock that in. Fuck! Golly, dude. No. That was a...
God. Dude, I couldn't think of something... Relaxing in a comfortable chair after work? I mean, only slightly more than baseline? Really? You just got off work. Well, I feel like what you said is just sitting in a comfortable chair in general.
Maybe. I don't know. To be here though.
Yeah, I get that. But I undersold it. But I think where you put it didn't take the after work part into account.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to myself, I wasn't that far off. It was pretty close.
It was so close. It was so close.
It was so close. I just basically all I had to do. So at the last second, in the last like 20 seconds of me deliberating, I had the thought of like, well, a lot of people do that and it's their normal. So maybe it's not that big of a deal. And that's what pushed it from like here to here. If I just didn't think that, we would have had it.
Yeah, I added the after work part on purpose.
Yeah.
To just try and get it a little bit further. Frick! Dude, we were so close! The one time that we needed to get points on the board. Any points, we failed it. God, that's so frustrating.
Well, that's the game. We'll probably bring this back. This was fun.
This was fun as heck. Yeah. So just why we would bring this back is because there is literally like 100 different prompts. There's endangered species, overpopulated species, boring person, and fun person, TikTok, whatever the frick. Guilty pleasure, actually just bad, talent, skill. There's so many cards, so we could tailor this to pretty much any episode topic that we would want. Almost.
Yeah.
But hopefully we won't fail. I think 15 was a good bar.
I feel like, yeah, that's a good line.
That was a good line. That was a good line for 6 rounds. But we failed it. So, let us know what you think about the authentic self, if there is such a thing. I think we basically landed on the authentic self that people usually are talking about when they say that word probably doesn't exist. That's probably just something that people make up. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a reality to people that are being fake. That also seems to be a thing, even if it's hard to define and we don't really know what it necessarily means. But yeah, we'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
See ya.